carrying
Is
pocket
this a new
candy.
like sponsorship?
Yeah.
Is this your NIL deal?
Yeah, it is.
Rick, how many years before you start carrying Werthers in your pocket?
Oh no.
I used to do that.
He's aged out and carrying further to his pocket.
Benjamin Button.
Judge, you, Benjamin Button Bar.
I used to do that when Hal Nunley, who was the coach at Randolph-Macon back when I moved to Fairfax in 1980. Everywhere I would go to a game, I was with him. He carried those Withers.
Pocket candy.
Yeah, and so he'd hand it, and I asked him why. He said, "I don't want you to forget me." So every time I'd go in, I'd say, "Give me one."
There you go.
Yeah. Before we start, I really want to thank Bob Kessling and Bert Bertelkamp for their amazing love for this university and the basketball program and what they've meant. And it's a happy day, but it's also a sad day because of the last 10 years being with Bob. It's been really a blessing for me to spend the time not only before the game with him, but afterwards. Just becoming a dear friend. And Bert, same thing. You know, Bert's sister is my wife's best friend, and so I've got to know the Bertelkamps really well, and Bob, and we all owe a sincere, big-time thanks to them for their love for the university, the basketball program, athletic department, and I'm just thankful that God brought all of our lives together because the last 10 years have been a real blessing for me and for, I think I speak on behalf of everyone that's involved with the University of Tennessee.
Bob said you ran out of the business.
Well, you know what, I tried 10 years ago, you know, but it didn't work, and he kind of grew on me, you know. But we've had some good times and some fun times, and people would probably, if they could get all of our outtakes and put it, people would probably be surprised.
Bob recalled a story when you took his wallet during an NCAA tournament game. Do you remember that moment? What led to it?
Well, I always was trying to mess him up. You know, I always kidded him because he's such a professional, but he carries a little card that at the end when he's done with me, he'll call out the sponsors. And I'm saying, you know, he's done this all year. How can it not be memorized yet? And so knowing that he's getting ready for that card, I took it. And it was just part of his wallet. And he's trying to chase me down. And I'm not going to tell you where I put the wallet because I made him go fishing for it. But we've had a lot of good laughs.
Senior day, coach, coming up. What has the senior class meant to you, especially with the time Jemima?
Well, again, it's always a tough time. You know, we're gonna actually move our senior day to after the game because one, we've got a lot this year, and we really don't want to rush through it. And we've always felt like I've always felt like those guys, if they would like to have a chance to address, you know, Ball Nation, they should be able to do that if they would choose to do it. You can't do that prior to the game. But when I think of those two guys, because 4 years ago when they came in, two guys that we had no idea at the time, like most guys, the impact that they would make on the program, not just basketball-wise, but what they've done outside the program and how they have endeared themselves at such a high level with Ball Nation. And I think they will go out as really two of the most highly remembered players, certainly in my time here. But what they've done on the court, I wish every coach would have a chance to coach two guys that you learn through them that hard work is a talent, because you've never had to coach hard work with them, which you do sometimes, but with other players. But that's a major talent. Their competitive spirit is a talent. Their willingness to win. I think they both have lived up to our motto. You know, it's not about me, because they have never made it about them. Even when the transfer portals started, all that started happening, the NIL, all that. It was always about what can they do to make this program better. And again, it's been quite a dynamic duo with those guys, and they've made a major impact. I think the impact they made on Jordan Gainey has been remarkable, because I could put him right there with them. My only regret with Jordan is that we didn't have him for 4 years, because he's been everything that we would want plus. And then you bring in, you know, Chaz and Igor. The impact they've made, ultimate team players. Again, I'd say the same thing. I wish we could have had them the entire time.
Coach, you say you didn't, with Jemiah and Zakai, you didn't know what you expect me to. I mean, Jemiah was a top 100 recruit, but Zakai, I can remember you talking after you saw him for the first time. You kind of looked like the cat who ate the canary that you found, you know, a hidden gem. But even, I mean, what was it like when you first saw him in Augusta? What did you see that made you want to bring him in and take that chance?
Well, we had always sort of kind of kept a scholarship late. We still try to do that if we can, and most of the time, late in the summer, we're thinking, can we get a post player? Maybe to go with a developmental guy that way. But knowing that Kennedy Chandler at the time was thinking that he wanted to be one and done, we knew he wanted to be one and done. I just mentioned to the coaches one day, maybe we should think about taking a point guard with that last scholarship, and we'd never done that. And when that happened, you know, Rod and those guys had all been down at Augusta, and it was the last week, and I was rolling in there to tap him. They said, well, let's watch him, and based on also the AAU program he was coming out of, is when you think of it, it's just toughness and everything, and they had already done their homework. My coach had already done their homework with it, and I saw him just play an incredible game, and the way he plays now, that's how he played that day, and then we got involved, and once people found out we got involved, it always happens. Other schools try to get involved, and he didn't, like he had a lot of time to take visits. Once we got him here on the visit, he had to go back home by NCAA rules, and honestly, he had to wait a couple of days because he had to get people help him to get enough money to fly back here on his own. And so he came in a couple of days after classes started, and I've said before, and I've always kidded Kennedy about this, I said, you know what, maybe we should have redshirted you instead of him. But I think Kennedy would tell you that Zakai was maybe one of the best things that ever happened to him, and vice versa. But Zakai hit it running and never looked back.
That recruiting class with Jemiah, Zakai, Kennedy, St. Jonas helped y'all win a lot of games. How significant was that group in helping kind of to sustain success y'all had the last 4 years?
It is, and I think the fact that you know, when we had got it, we felt like we had got it going, and now could we sustain it? And that's the hard part. You know, I think you can get it going, and certainly in most places, but can you sustain it? And not just sustain it, but continue to grow it. And that's the hard part. And so you've got to give, especially those two, great credit for it. I mean, certainly Kennedy had a major impact. Jonas did his part when he was here. But really, Jemiah and Z, they have, I'm telling you, it's amazing, the impact. And it's not just on the court. I'm telling you, it's not. I mean, what Jemiah and Z have done, and you know, Jemiah's gotten involved in so many different things, with ball leaders, everything. And like I said, they've lived up to our motto, it's not about me as well as anybody. And this year, I think really where we are right now, their leadership has been at an extremely high level. And both of them, I can't thank their families enough either. I mean, they've been so supportive of us when, at a time in college basketball, is when it's easy for someone to walk out. Their families, the values that their families placed in both of these guys about hard work, loyalty, you know, grinding it out day to day. Again, I'm blessed and thank the good Lord for giving me a chance to be around them for the 4 years I've been here, and I love them to death, and all of them, and that's what makes my job a great job.
Rick, when you look at like just the backstories of those guys, you know, Jemiah and Zakai, they're coming from 3,000 miles plus away from each other, different backgrounds growing up. Are they kind of an example of what sports and basketball like can do? The kinds of people they can bring together that you never really would have met otherwise, I guess.
Yeah, I do think that's true about sports, how it can bring people together and from different backgrounds. And I do know those guys have created what will be a lifelong experience, a friendship, a relationship, because they have been through it. I'm sure if they were standing right here beside me, they would tell you when one of them's up, one of them's down, they've been a rock for each other, and it's obviously great when they're both playing at such a high level. And you know, and as you guys know, I'm tough on them, but what I appreciate that, I think they appreciate it in their own way, because they are highly driven. They want to be coached. They want to get better. But it's really interesting when you think about they do come from different parts of the country, and both grew up differently, but there's a connection there that's unique, and I would say that they both have impacted each other in really some real profound ways.
Is it crazy to think about the impact or I guess the fit Jemai has been? Because I don't think he ever visited here because of COVID restrictions during his recruitment. To come across the country having never stepped foot on campus.
Well, Mike Schwartz was the lead recruiter on him, and all Mike kept telling me through the entire time, Coach, I'm just telling you, he's what you want. And I think what Mike meant by that, Mike knows that I like really tough guys. He knows I like guys that work hard, guys that want to get better, guys that want to be coached. And honestly, from the time I can think of the first couple of times I talked to Jemai and his family, they got it. They were like, hey, we know where he is, what he's got to do to get better, and we're going to support you every step of the way. And they have been incredible. I mean, and because he's like all players, it wasn't easy. You know, I mean, every player comes in thinking it's just going to happen because he had a successful high school career. They've been so realistic. They've been so honest, so transparent. And I will say it about him. I still think his best days are ahead of him. But I can remember the first time talking to his family. I knew I hung up the phone thinking that would be a real blessing for me to have a chance to coach him and be around his family. They've been highly supportive of him, obviously, and they're so close. You know, he's obviously had family in Georgia, which had something to do with it. But him being here has been really a blessing.
Is Zakai kind of the poster child, I guess, for how scholarship can absolutely change someone in a family's lives in terms of everything that's happened for them?
I think if people really understood what Zakai had to do before he got here, I mean, I think Dan O'Neill did a story with him where she was in New York when we were playing, and she said, I want to know how you did this, and he took her to the subway and taught her how didn't have the money to get on the subway, but how to get on it by jumping this, jumping that. I don't think people realize what Zakai had to do to get up in the morning, to get a train to go an hour to school, figure out how to get home, come home, and obviously do his responsibilities with his family. And when you think about that, him off the court, his way was totally different than Jemai's. And so when I just know how Zakai, his route, what he had to go through, and then as you said, Jemai was a top 100 player. Z was at a point where he was ready to give it up. You know, he left Augusta, didn't know if he wanted to reclassify. You know, he felt like he belonged at the highest level, but he was at a point where he thought, well, maybe I should just give this up. But he obviously thankful for us that that the good Lord put us there at that time, and fate worked out that God had a plan for him and us, and it's been a great 4-year run.
In what ways has Zakai challenged you to be a better coach?
Well, I think, again, I talk about consistency. I think the most consistent guy in the program has got to be the head coach and certainly the staff, but that's my number one responsibility, that those guys see me every day do what I'm supposed to do. And when you got a guy like Zakai, and who he's going to bring it every day. So I think he would be the first guy that would probably notice if I wasn't on my edge or on my game. I think he would notice it. And to be quite frank, I think he'd probably say something to me. He hasn't had to say anything yet. You know, I've said more to him than he said to me, but the fact is, he would probably know it because he comes out there every day with an edge and a consistency, and that he wants to do his job.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys. Bob, you gonna come and talk a little bit? Come on, Bob. This should not have a little energy.
I got you.
Come on.
I went before you.
Oh, well, you didn't go with me.
That's dangerous. He said after
Just off the record, so everybody knows. All the cameras off?
Yes.
Tell them where I put that.